Now this is a video I've wanted to do for a while but never really got round to doing it, and when I did do versions of it I never felt they were good enough to upload, so I'm going to attempt it again. Hopefully this time I'll make a version I'm happy with. So this is the big debate, along with a lot of historical debates and everything, is the AK47 versus the Fn Fal or Fal battle rifle, and it's which one was better. Both of these guns, that's actually an RPK I have there, a Serbian M72, and that's a British L1A1 self-loading rifle at the top, but both are the M72 is a Kalashnikov based rifle, the SLR's a FAL based rifle, so they're both sort of close enough to the guns I'm talking about to demonstrate all the points. So both the Kalashnikovs and the FALs or FALs were the most mass-produced guns in the world for the time. I imagine the Kalashnikov still is the most mass-produced rifle, and I don't know if the FAL is or not still, but they were both for the time the most mass-produced guns. Kalashnikovs were obviously produced in the Soviet Union, but nearly all the Warsaw Pact states made them as well. Romania, Bulgaria, Poland, East Germany, Czechoslovakia, well, they made VZ58s, but similar enough. And even a lot of Middle Eastern countries, Egypt made them, Iraq made them. So there is a lot of countries produce the AK, and of course it's become quite notorious for being now used by terrorist groups or whatever, or in civil wars and everything. The FAL was known as the right arm of the free world because it was mass produced for most of the NATO countries. Interesting enough, America was one of the few countries that didn't adopt it. They had the M14 instead, but FALs were used, the originals were Belgian because it's a Fabrique Nationale rifle, and all of the Commonwealth produced them under the SLRs like that one there, which were the semi-automatic versions. And they were also produced by a lot of South American countries as well, so it's called the right arm of the free world because the majority of the NATO countries used them. So both were massively mass-produced rifles and saw a lot of, obviously, conflict. So the main differences between them is that the AK is more of a classic assault rifle, as in it's designed for automatic fire, designed for suppressive fire. The AK uses a 7.62 by 39mm cartridge, and the FAL uses a 7.62 by 51mm cartridge. So they're the same actual caliber, but the FAL essentially has more propellant behind it. So the Kalashnikov was actually designed for close range assault use, because a lot of people say, oh, you know, the AK, it's not good at long range, it's a really crap, inaccurate gun. But it was designed for basically soldiers coming out of armoured personnel carriers or very close range fighting. And it was designed to be better than submachine guns range wise and power wise, but be obviously a lot better than something like the Nagant or the SKS, which were the previous Russian rifles. So it actually goes from safe to fully automatic, then semi-automatic with the fire selector, so it was designed primarily for automatic use. The FAL, there's the Belgian versions were produced in automatic and semi-automatic select fires, but the British or Commonwealth SLR, the actual SLRs, are made to be semi-automatic only, because with the more powerful NATO cartridge the recoil was much higher, so they couldn't actually fire them effectively on fully automatic. You could do it as suppressive fire, but you wouldn't have much luck hitting something after the first couple of shots. The FAL cartridge basically will go further, and it has a bit more power behind it, but both are pretty beast rounds, if you want to call them that, compared to something like 5.56 or 5.45, they are full power rounds. Both of these rifles are obviously renowned to be good. There's the reliability thing that gets brought up a lot. Kalashnikovs are obviously known to be very reliable. The AK series rifles can be obviously left very dirty. They can still jam. Obviously it's a myth, every gun can jam. A lot of the time it's to do with the mag feed or actual bad cartridges, but it's relatively easy to keep the AK clean, and it's easy to sort of take it apart and everything. The FAL is also known to be very reliable, although some people do question its reliability a lot more than the AK. But an interesting feature they put on a lot of the FALs is that there's a gas selector at the front, and in adverse conditions you can set the gas selector higher so it sends more gas back to feed the rifle and work the components. So it increases recoil, but means in adverse conditions you can actually essentially cycle it better. The sights, this is where I think the FAL wins very easily. The AK has a very, almost like a pistol sight on it. And I know it's intended for close range use, but it's actually almost too narrow to see down properly. So you're better off just trying to look at the front sight and guess where it's going at close range. The FAL has flip down, or at least the SLR has flip down peep sight, or aperture sight, ghost ring, whatever you want to call it, where you look through the circle and then align it with the front post. The SLR's one is flip down, which is useful because it means at very close range, if you had to use the rifle, you could flip it down and then you just look along the barrel into the front sight. So it's faster to bring up. The AK has 30 round mags on average, and the FALs had 20 round mags, and that's mostly just to do with that most battle rifles and NATO rifles at the time were 20 round, and Soviet stuff was 30 round, like a lot of modern NATO guns are now. I don't really know what else there is to say. I imagine after I've done the video I thought of something I could have added, but both are fantastic rifles. In my personal opinion I like the SLR more, but AKs are still lovely guns, and unfortunately being in England I'll never, in the current sort of climate, I'll never have a chance to actually fire these, but you can still appreciate the history behind them and everything, and I've spoken to people who have fired them. But yeah, they're both brilliant guns really. They do very good, what they were designed to do they do very well, and it's only really when you take them into the wrong sort of environments that you can find complaints of them. I personally prefer the SLR a bit more because I like the idea of a longer range rifle. Sort of it's a bit closer to a bolt action rifle in terms of range, and it's can still be used up close but not as effectively. But yeah, both are very reliable rifles, and I think it's a shame really we've gone to the lower caliber sort of rifles rather than the sort of old good powerful rifles. Anyway, thanks for watching, and feel free to leave any comments.